Okay, let's talk about something that is, well, it's super confusing. You meet someone, right? And the chemistry is absolutely off the charts, you're totally captivated, and then, just like that, poof, the magic is gone. Today, we're gonna dive into this really calming but pretty frustrating dating paradox, why that amazing spark can just vanish the second you find out they like you back. I mean, really think about it. Have you ever found yourself completely fixated on someone? Maybe they seemed a little distant, a little unavailable. You think about them all the time. The thrill of the chase is just everything. But then, the moment they turn around and show real, genuine interest in you, that intense attraction just kind of fizzles out. If you're sitting there nodding your head right now, listen, you are so not alone. This is an incredibly common pattern. And it turns out there's a fascinating psychological reason for why this whole thing happens. So to really get what's going on, first we need to look at the power of the chase itself. What makes it so compelling? Well, it all starts with a core psychological principle. And that brings us to something called the scarcity principle. The whole idea is that our desire, it isn't always just about the person. A lot of the time, it gets cranked up by the challenge, by their unavailability. When something feels restricted or hard to get, our brain just automatically assigns it a higher value. The pursuit itself is what creates so much of the excitement. But this goes so much deeper than just, wanting what you can't have. Often, this chase is actually a mission with a hidden and much more personal objective. It's not just about them. It's really about what we're trying to prove to ourselves. So if the spark dies the moment you win the person, that kind of suggests the person was never the real prize to begin with. So what then are you really trying to get with all that effort? And this right here, this is the heart of it. The chase isn't just a fun game. So often it's this unconscious attempt to prove something to ourselves. That impossible challenge of winning over someone unavailable, it becomes a way to finally quiet that little inner voice that tells us we're not good enough. So here's the crucial point. The goal isn't the relationship. The goal is the feeling of validation you think you're going to get by conquering that challenge. You're chasing a feeling of self-worth that you've pinned onto this other person. And this brings us right to that exact moment the magic dies. The moment they finally like you back. This is where a huge internal conflict kicks off. See, on one side, you've got the fantasy chase. It's this safe, controlled game where you're trying to validate your ego by winning over a perfect, idealized version of a person. But on the other side, you've got what a real connection actually demands: vulnerable intimacy, unguarded affection. And that stuff is messy, it's real, and it is totally unpredictable. So the second they turn towards you with real affection, the game is over. The impossible challenge is gone. And that whole fantasy you built up in your head is suddenly shattered and replaced by a real, imperfect human being who actually wants to connect with you. And that is absolutely terrifying to the part of you that started this chase in the first place. Your ego, which felt so powerful and in control during the pursuit, is now faced with the possibility of being truly seen, the risk of genuine intimacy, of being unguarded and imperfect. It feels so overwhelming that it just shuts the whole thing down. And that is your spark dying. So how in the world do you break this cycle? Well, it starts by shifting your goal, from winning a prize to building a connection. Let's take a look at the path forward. All right, so first, you've just got to recognize this pattern in your own life and do it without judgment. Second, you have to consciously decide to stop seeking validation from people who are emotionally unavailable, these unreachable mirrors. And third, this is the big one. You have to practice meeting someone where they actually are, in the messy, imperfect, but beautiful reality of a real connection. Because ultimately, this is about reframing what you're even looking for. A healthy, lasting connection isn't some trophy you win to prove your worth. It's something you build slowly and imperfectly with another person who is also showing up as their real, vulnerable self. And that's the real question, isn't it? It's all about shifting from that external chase for validation to an internal readiness for connection. So, are you ready to trade the temporary thrill of the fantasy for the lasting substance of reality? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.